Hello, the internet. And once again, Wednesday has crept up on me, somewhat surprisingly. Just to make sure I'm appearing. Yes, I am. Nothing on there saying things are going wrong. Excellent. Let me just move my life around. Last week, actually, this is just a quick recap on what's going on for anyone who's new, has been following along. For the past N episodes, we have been building a bot in Go for Discord. Originally, this was going to be a 4-part series where I built the foundations and then went off and did my own thing, not live to the internet. But for reasons, this got renewed for another 4 episodes and has been renewed for another 4, if I remember correctly. I think we're on 10, or I don't know, 6 or 10. I did N. And it turns out there's going to be a bonus one because there are 5 Wednesdays in March. Or so Alex says. By the way, Alex is, as always, on the chat in the background, throwing at the socials and doing sterling work behind the scenes. So yes, we sort of did that, and then I started making the bot do stuff. Alex had an actual real requirement in terms of he needed to be able to access the bot programmatically in order to send stuff. We got that sorted, and then we got kind of renewed again, and I was moving into territory where I haven't actually got any experience. So previous to this, it has all been unscripted, unrehearsed. It is designed to show programming in the real world in terms of like, oh, I'm stuck, oh, this isn't working. But I'd at least have some clue of what it was that I was going to be doing. We're now reaching the areas of I don't actually have a clue what's going on, so we may be watching me check documentation a little bit and going, I don't know. Anyway, last week we got as far as allowing the bot to crash when typing a command, something that Alex abused horribly. And then we turned that off because, the bot needs to stay up and running. So today we might take a look at that. But we might also check out a few other things. One of the things that happened last week as well is I had just migrated to a brand new laptop and I didn't have all the tools installed and everything was not quite set up. A week has gone. I have fiddled around with stuff. I'm a lot more set up now, so we're in a position to do some other things as well. But let's just quickly flip onto my laptop screen. Apologies, Alex has pointed out that I am broadcasting in 1610 because I'm on a Mac, not 16.9. So if you are watching this full screen on something that's a 16.9, then you'll have bars or something. I don't know. It's all my fault, and I apologise profusely. For those of us watching this on a Mac, which is 1610, we can just feel good about ourselves. Anyway, I noticed that this fix number 20, stop settings from leaking details via JSON, is still open. I noticed this when I logged into Bitbucket to prepare for this session, for a given definition of prepare. And I thought I'd fix this. And it's actually quite a nasty thing because when some things are logged out, it's dumping the AWS was dumping the AWS credentials. So this is still open. It's still a pull request that doesn't appear to have been merged in. I need to check that this has actually been fixed. So let's go have a look in that. We are 88 commits behind main. So it's a very simple thing. It just says don't dump this out in case of printing this stuff. And it only really happens if there's an error. What was happening here was it was when it was saving stuff. It was when it was updating something. It was streaming this to the S3 bucket. So what I just need to do is, this is in AWS S3 Go. So we can do this in 2 places. We can go have a look actually in the code, which should be reasonably up to date. Nope. What's the path again? Store AWS. Store AWS S3 and it is not applied. Now we should just be able to sync this, which I think is going to end up with a commit or something. I don't know. Did that work? I clicked. Definitely clicked that time. Any more? I'm I'm wondering whether I've actually deleted this branch. Right, easy enough to sort. It'll pick it up on the right branch. So we're currently on issue 16. We're just going to go get checkout main, get new issue 18, wasn't it? 20. 20. Issue 20 already exists. I have not been tidying up after myself. Tut tut tut. Review. Well, let's hope if we can get review that. That'll go off. It'll create a new pull request. Oh, fair enough. Create that pull request. And let that go off and do its thing. So if this one is still open, we'll just delete that after it's over. So we just need to wait for this to. I know it'll build and everything. We're not changing. We're not changing anything massive. All we're saying here, this notation is telling the GoJSON marshaller just ignore this field. So we don't want to be dumping out the config for any reasons because it contains things like the access keys, and that's a bad thing. So that'll go off and do its building. Let's have a look and see where we were with issue 16, I believe. I'm going to leave that tab open because we may need that. Let's go off and just yoink. Have a look over here. So we were doing listening out for concurrent instances and getting a little stuck. And I got as far as working out that I could possibly do something with the status updates. Alex did point out, why am I not doing this on the Fargate side? And because I then got to have some kind of locking structure built up on there, and I can't be bothered, basically. It's a lot of faff and possibly some expense. So I'm trying to do this on the client side where it's free. Although it will have some issues. So we may park that for the moment. It seems I've got partway through an approach, but what I'm passing around is not complete data, so when I'm trying to use one of the types I'm passing around, it just crashes with a null pointer exception. However, we do need to get some security in there. This is something I was going to do last session, and didn't because I didn't have POR installed, and I need POR to sort of test it. And as part of that, we probably want to allow chat and storage backends to be picked. So at the moment, if you don't provide a Discord token and you can't connect to S3, it's all going to go horribly wrong. So we might actually want to make this so that it can use standard in, standard out, and in-memory storage. So we'll see where we got to with those. I think we've got an in-memory storage thing. We'll have a look. So that's ready to merge. I'm going to approve that, and I'm going to merge it. Did those buttons just move? Bitbucket may have updated their UI. That's going to annoy me if they move out from underneath the mouse. Anyway, that's gone in. Are you still open? Nope, that was the same merge request. Good. So I can now hopefully, wait, this way. Done. Woo. Let's just make sure I've got nothing else dangling around. So issue 16 we expect to be open because that is our current, what is going on here, branch in terms of testing the concurrency. So let's, like I say, park issue 16 so we don't have an entire session of me. Actually, it reminds me. We can have music now. I've got a fast laptop. I was listening to synthwave because why not? Let's actually just make sure that the volume is not too onerous. There we go. A little bit of background music there. If you need me to turn it up, do shout. I will have a look on the YouTube thingies. Define mobile development. Working on a train. I used to work on a train. I used to work on a train going from my home to the city where I work in Norwich, and there was naff all in the way of mobile signal, and that's a pain in the backside. Go likes to go off and verify a few things before it compiles, so my compilation would slow down massively as it waited for network timeouts, and some apps just refused point blank to work. Devs, if you're ever working on stuff that's working quote unquote mobile, please make sure that your apps actually behave when the internet is poor or non-existent. Just looking at that for next month. React to Native, apparently. Okay, so we need a new branch. No. Get new. Let's try and engage the brain. And this one was going to be the chat and storage backend. So number 17, issue 17. There we go. I'm just changing my pop like that. I'm just changing my other monitor because it's very confusing to be watching myself twice. Keep trying to poke at things on the wrong screen. Right, now, at the moment, what do we have? We have a store. Where's our store? We've played around with this a little bit because naming and what have you. And we do have a memory store. Great, because we put the locking store in and these things can be stacked. So, stores are all just a thing, and we can in fact tell the bot, and I think we do tell the bot, that the store looks like, where are we? Backing store looks like this. Now, arguably I could make it nice and modular and say that you can specify the stores and it would look things up, but I think I'm just going to have a simple switch for development mode. Although, I mean, I suppose we could provide some options. Let's provide some options because it'll show you how it might work. So we're going to want to be able to configure the store. It's going to be quite easy. So first things first, we want some kind of config. I really need to sort out this settings. So a phrase that's been used a lot over the past couple of weeks for reasons that I'm not going to go into is yak shaving. This idea of having to do one thing and then realising you have to do another thing, realising you have to do another thing. I might just quickly sort out this configuration block because it's starting to get quite large. And if we do it now, it'll be quick rather than long. There is actually there's a move, the Go configure package has been updated to make this easier and actually have this idea of blocks that you can pass in, but I have not managed to finish that. Despite best efforts, life keeps getting in the way. So we're going to move some of this out into a block. So we've got, what have we got here? We've got the Discord token, we've got AWS stuff. We've got stuff for the server. This is for Discord. So I think basically we've got Bearer probably wants to go into security maybe. No, Bearer's going to stay here because we're going to pull that out at some point. But we do need an AWS config section, so let's go have a look and see how we've done. So I'm just updating my dictionary as we go along because new machine, new dictionary. And I like to have no squiggly lines, no issues, because that way I know the file is good. If there's a squiggly line, then there's a spelling mistake, and if the spelling is correct because we're using some weird spelling or weird term or weird acronym, I need to add it to the dictionary to make sure they get it right. So, we basically use this kind of pattern whereby we provide a struct with our settings, and then we can configure that by passing in the options that we're going to attach those settings to, and we can report on what's going on in this type of report block. Apparently there's a typo in my There is a typo in my hostname. It's not going to update for a while. I'll tell you that now. Bum 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 bum. And yes, people on the YouTube, if you're not looking at the chat, are desperately imploring with me to change the hostname. What are we under sharing? Bum, 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 bum. Are we happier now? That won't update on that terminal. In fact, it probably won't update till I reboot the machine. But I have updated the hostname. You saw it. It's there. It's live. Many apologies for those of you who, unlike me, don't suffer from dyslexia and have been seeing horrible mismatched wet letters. All goes back to what I was saying about actually having the spell checker enabled, so that when things like that happen, you can have the squiggly underline underneath it and know that it's wrong. My prompt sadly does not have a spell checker. Thankfully, the internet does. It was Liam that spotted. Of course, it was Liam that spotted that. Cheers, Liam. Anyway, as I was saying, we go through this kind of pattern. We've got a struct, and we can configure and report on it. So we will duplicate that pattern quite literally. So what do we want? We wanted AWS. Don't ask again. I'm going to cancel on that, and then we can. Oh, other projects as well. I've got 2 instances of GoLang running, and they're both complaining. Right, so we do actually want to add that. Do I have the thing to add it? Yes, I do. Okay, so this is now going to be AWS, which is our AWS options. And for AWS we have these. Grab all of them and shove them in here. And then we've got the settings. Which we can grab from there. Can we use that shorthand version? We've got description, we've got long flag, we've got config key, default. Yes, I think we can. Yes, we can. Right, we'll use the short version. First of all, we do need to turn around and just rename this. Actually, I'm just going to do it this way, because I think if I rename it, it's going to go off and rename the other file as well. So that means we're pointed to AWS. I'll replace all of that, and then we can turn around and say that this needs to be A. So that's now good. And then we can... actually, I'm not going to use the short version because I'm being lazy. We can just turn around and do this. A. And then we want to report on that, and I probably have this reporting going on down here as well. Yes, I do. So those can come out. Do that. Right, we've got region. There's one missing. Access key bucket. Bouquet. Liam is saying Go is so clean. It can be messy. But yeah, it's very opinionated. The downside is that you do end up with some overly verbose code in some cases. Much as I malign JavaScript, I do actually like the fact that you can turn around and go if rather than if not equal to nil, as I have to do in Go. It'd just be a nice piece of syntactic sugar, to be honest. Even if that was the only sort of quote-unquote truthy thing. Anyway, that's... just report the configuration for AWS and configure the AWS options. Great. I don't think we've got any magic numbers in here, so we can kill that linter. Yay. Right, that's that one done. What else do we have in here? We've got some stuff for the Discord stuff, so let's shove in Discord. In fact, we can just do never cut and paste your code. Come on. Rename that for all receivers. ID. So the slight pause there is, have I done something weird? Yes. Still getting used to the fact that I have an actual escape key that's in a slightly different place to the key that I have been using for escape for a long time. Right, so we've got the Discord token, the avatar, and the prefix. Let's just grab all of those for the time being. Do we use name? Yes, name as well. So they're going to go. They're going to go. That's just slightly nicer, so we can put that in there. This now becomes that. Bin those. Back to our settings. Settings, not Discord. That confused me for a little bit. So we want to grab all of those and then just kill the ones that we don't want anymore. Back here, shove those in like that. Sort them out, and then the reporting. We take those. Nope, D. D on that, and then what else have we got here? Avatar and the prefix. Let's log those as well. Sorry, I always leave my tea to go cold on this stream. Not something I'm normally guilty of, but for some reason I do on this stream, so I was just making sure that I did not leave my tea to go cold, and I have now successfully drunk the entire cup. We will not have a situation later where I go bleh, as I have a mouthful of cold tea. Prefix. Squiggly underlines. Gotta love the squiggly underlines. And bot avatar. There we go. And did I call this settings or options? Settings. Of course I did, because it got changed. Right, so that has now pulled those two off into little files. We no longer need this. And what we can do is we can turn around and say that has should we move all of this up now? Lump these together. So we've got a Discord of type Discord, a security of type security, an AWS of type AWS. That's all of them. And then down here we can say settings.discord configure and pass in the options. For that, and then down here in the reporting we can do settings.discord.report and settings.aws.report, and things are just a little bit nicer. So what we're going to add on top of that is some settings for the server as a whole, or the thing as a whole, which would include, because I don't see port on here anywhere, I think we hard coded the port as well. Just looking for where we've hard coded that. Yeah, we hard coded it here. So I mean, we can add that in. I'll fix up these, or actually let's just fix up these now while we're here, because this is no longer settings.discord token. Actually, one of the things we can do, because semantically, this now just needs to be token. Because we know it's a Discord token, so this can be settings Discord token, and there we go. We're going to need to change this bit up. I'm just going to shove a to do in here. If I try and commit with the to do, it will whinge. So we'll need to handle that. That's part of the reason why I couldn't just fire up with the HTTP interface and test that. Was we had this check-in. Right, so we need some settings for the server. Definite music going on in the background now. Liam wants to know, how is settings, Discord, etc. not nil? Is it been initialized somewhere? Yes, everything in Go has a 0 value. Some things will be nil because they don't, because the 0 value of some things is nil. But in terms of this contains a name, a token, a bearer, avatar, and a prefix that are all strings. So their 0 values will be empty string, which means that the 0 value of Discord is going to be that struct with a set of empty strings. Now, it is possible things like session can be nil because that's a pointer, and the 0 value for pointer is nil. And then you end up with a nil pointer exception and life goes bad. As we demonstrated last week, where something I was chucking around had not been initialized properly. But one of the idiomatic Go ways of working is to make sure that all of your structs are sort of usable as a 0 value, so that they've got some kind of either sensible default or they can handle the fact that some things have not been set. Failing that, you provide a constructor function, but you've got to be sort of reasonably happy that the developer's not going to bypass that. And one of the other things to note just quickly while we're on there, at this point, this is a pointer function, so this has been hung on to the Discord struct, so I can call this function. It is perfectly possible for D to be nil at this point, but that's code error, that's developer error, and we just don't bother checking for the nilness. The person using the library has done something dumb at that point, and they can work it out themselves. Otherwise, all your code would be smattered with if the pointer is nil, then do something. I mean, you're going to error anyway. You may as well error spectacularly. And the reason why I'm using pointer functions here and not non-pointer functions is because I need to fiddle with the values. So they need to be a central thing we're pointing at. Here, D can never be nil, but anything I do to change this, because there's a copy of D, will not be reflected by the D that the call has. So we're using a pointer, and all is good. What we're doing? Oh yes, server. So new go files server. And we're just going to go yoink because I'm lazy. Replace all of those. So we may as well shove it in here while we've got it. Port int 0, value of an int is 0, and also int is a alias, so if it's a 64-bit system, int will be 64-bit, it'll be an int 64. If it's a 32-bit system, it'll be an int 32. If it matters, you can actually specify what size you want. It doesn't matter for things like port. Plus, I'm not entirely sure I've targeted a 32-bit system in a long time. So we can just change that to S, and that to S, and this is server settings. Cool. So we've got a port. We're also going to want a store. We're going to do it as a string, and we're going to want a chat engine. What are we going to call it? Client, I guess. It's our chat client. We'll even call it chat client. That's also going to be a string for reasons that will become clear. And then we want to add an option which is going to be s.port. This is going to be port. Help if I can spell. Port config fee is going to be port, and the default is going to be 1337. Now, Go is strongly typed, but we're using the interface type for the pointer and the default. Go configure goes and does a whole load of nasty stuff to deal with reflections in order to actually get this back into a type so that when we get this set, it will be set to an int and we'll have dealt with it. Basically, this just deals with the rigmarole of going from config, which is horrible and generally stringly typed, to something that's strongly typed. So here we're going to have the s.store. Why are you whinging about S? Receiver names are different. So this is the name of the store configuration. To use the config key is going to be store, and ooh, that's all right. Where were we? No, we were in server. The config key is going to be store. We're probably going to have a long flag as well of store, and our default is going to be AWS. Actually, we'll call it. What do we call the store? Let's try and be consistent. We called it S3, so we will call it S3 here as well. Let's give some hints as to what we'll accept, and we want chat client as well, so that's use is probably redundant, and this is going to be Discord or console. Client, take this a long flag as well. See if we can spell. And we're going to have a default there of Discord, which means I don't have to do more configuration when it goes live, and I can fiddle around with it when it's local. They're not a thing anymore, so they can go. Let's kill that search, so that can go. Boom, 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 boom. And then we want to report, so server HTTP port. Port store config is store and config is stop client check client. Right. Don't need that. That is the server settings. Right, what do I need to make? I need settings to make those. And I need settings and the backing store to make those. Nope, that's the action handlers, don't care about them. The Discord. We need the actions and the settings. Right. So what I'm thinking... I'm going to have a lookup somewhere. I'm just trying to work out where I want that lookup. Whether it's in the config. So we can set up... I'm going to see if I can shove it in the config for now. Or in the settings. So let's just grab that. Nope, just that bit. Because what we can turn around is we can say that no, it's not going to be possible here. To rename those. Don't want that, want the rest. Refactor this to the config as well. And the reason I've done that is because I can't have a function and a variable the same in a struct. So if I then have server store, which is going to take settings, and it's going to return, what's it going to return? It's going to return store. Store get etc. I think. And then just trying to think what to do. Going to have a switch statement on s.store config. So we're going to have s3, and we're going to have memory. And I'm just trying to work out what to do in the default case. Do I default to the S3 one and just plug on? So the default case is basically if we've set something that isn't one of those two. Or do we fall over in a crumpled heap, or do we return an error? I think we're going to return an error. Do it that way. So we can just wake that out. And for here we can say, oops, return that with nil. Story, BS. Chuckle at myself. Doesn't want to be ampersand BS. No, what are we not implementing here? JSON store does not implement store when we get stata native. Well, that's right, because the JSON store was slightly different. Oh, it is actually, it's backing store against SATA. I think because it overrides those two. Yes, it does. So, in that case, our server actually wants to be returning a JSON store. Okay, and that means that our we can set up a default one of those, and then we can do that. And then here we can just do JSON store dot backing store equals one of those. Get rid of that, tidy that up, kill that. In the case of memory, we can do that, except this now becomes store.memory, I think. Do we do a lazy in that? Yes, we do. Okay, so here our error becomes new valid store config. So we can return an error invalid store config, and we can put the s.store config in there. Cool. Nope, that just becomes error equals. And now we can do return JSON store. Great. I just shove them out because I'm kind of splitting the splitting those two functions. Move that around a bit. And then we're going to do a similar thing for our client. So this is going to take a set of actions, which was that. So we're going to return. What are we going to return? That's a very good point. What are we going to return? Let's go have a look and see what we need to return. What do we actually do to this? We need to connect. That becomes our session. We put that into session. That's going to be awkward. That's going to be very awkward. So that's going to be hard. Let me show you how awkward it's going to be. If we go off into settings and have a look at one of these, yoink. This is a big old struct. It holds a whole load of stuff that we don't necessarily care about. Right, let's try and abstract this out a little bit. So let's find where we're using this. Let's find our usages on that. So we add a handler, so we need to be able to add a handler. We need to be able to update a user. Avatar is done separately, so we can sort that out, and we need to be able to send a complex message. And again, that's handled slightly separately, so we can split this out into a bunch of simple interfaces. So where were we? In the long line of yak shaving that is going to be this. Right, so it's in our listener. Our listener's going to have a handler. We've actually abstracted that out a little bit. So I've already preempted some of this. There's our big problem. But our handler just takes a message and a sender. And a message just looks like that, and a sender just looks like that. So, oops, that even. That we can all hide away. So we don't actually have a handler defined yet, but we can do something with that. This is going to require some mental gymnastics. Because the Connect is also doing some very specific stuff on the Discord. Right, so we know that we're going to want to do complex messages. And I think we have to accept that we're just going to be supporting the Discord style of complex messages because the Slack style is utterly different. And I'm not going to be jumping through all the hoops. We're running this bot on Discord, so I'm going to nail the bot to the Discord standard. Now we had this complex message, and I think somewhere we actually defined what one of those looked like. I think we did that in the server and the endpoint under. Actually, yes, we did. There we go. So this is our proxy message. We can probably pull this out. And then this is all strings, so that becomes nice in terms of the message that we're going to send out. So, what do we need to do here? We need to allow ourselves to register handlers. What actually does that, registering of the handlers? We may need to pull that out. That adds a handler, t.handler. Why is that linked to that? I've got a badly named type, that's why. This has nothing to do with tests. It's just oh, that's right. This was just the stuff we were doing last week in terms of trying to get stuff to work. So in fact we can bin that on the head. We don't care about that handler. Yay! This is something very specific to the Discord part of things, so we can bin that on the head. So actually all we need is something that can notify things. So okay, we're part of the way there. So back into, what are you and you now? I'm just going to go fix this up so that git review, replace you with a server. Conflict.server. The prefix. Like that. It's Discord, not Doofus. So I'm just getting this so it compiles. It's always a fun goal. Feels. Fine. Okay. You need one of those, and you need one of those. You need one of those. You need one of those. I know Alex is laughing at me now, going, "Ha edit columns." And then we just need to change this to discord.prefix. There we go. Why didn't you get picked up? Probably because it was in a selection. There we go. That now compiles. Excellent. Anyway, we wanted to be in this file. So we have a Discord sender. But that's a struct that's having one of these types. Oh, we do have a sender interface as well. Excellent. Right, so we're going to use the sender interface, and they're not going to send a string anymore. We need to pull out that complex type. Where was it? It was under 8 points under send. I need one of these. So that's no longer going to be a proxy message. This is going to be a message. It can't be a message. What are you conflicting with? the message type as well. It's almost like I thought about this. So channel content sender, and this now becomes, we don't have a sender in that. Sender is a user. What's a user? A user is just an ID. Okay, cool. So if we do that, that should be enough. And then our sender is going to send. Actually, let's take that off the message, because that's not. That's going to send a message to a user, and then so that's now a message to a platform. Send the message from the user. And then, just because not everything is going to be a really fancy, not everything's going to be a really fancy thing, we're going to have send string, message string, user. I'm not using Java. Send the user equals to send, return an error. Excellent. So we've got an interface to find. We don't need Slack. They've drawn their line in the sand. This is very true, actually. I still use Slack for some things, but this is not a bot that's going to end up on those channels. So that means that our existing endpoints that don't know about complex messages can do stuff, although they're probably going to change now. This is going to end up being a complete rewrite. How much time do we have left? Got an hour. Fantastic. Okay, so that's going to send a string. We've got our message. That's a message received from the chat platform. That could be problematic. Right, in that case I've messed up here. Doesn't need the user at all. We just need to be able to send stuff. There we go. That should be failed. Okay, so we need to change what's going on here. We've got two types of message. We've got inbound message and outbound message. You know what's going to happen here. This is an inbound message. Ooh, lots of places. I'm actually going to do this manually and rely on the compiler to tell me where it has broken, because I don't want to just go change stuff and then for me to not realise that actually there's some other subtle changes that have gone on with things. Actually having the compilation errors there tell me that I need to go have a look at that and poke around the code and make sure that it is doing what I wanted to do. So we're going to have a type outbound message. And that's going to be a struct, and that's going to be all... that one? Nope. That one? Yes. But I'm in the wrong posting. Oops. That one. There. Paste. So, outbound message. do the chat platform. Okay. And that is now an outbound message. Great stuff. So we've got a message, we've got a sender. And I think I'm actually going to change ever so slightly how our stuff works. Why are you complaining? Oh yes. We got halfway through writing some code and then a yak needed to be shaved. Right, so you connect and then you handle a message. We do a whole bunch of stuff. So this is now an inbound message. Oops. We return if the sender is a bot. We check some things. We do some stuff. We log some stuff. We go through the actions, and then we send the message. I no longer think that should happen. I think the action should be responsible for sending their own messages, because that way more than one action can actually respond to things. And it's actually going to simplify things. So, it's an inbound message. And the sender is going to be an outbound message. And then we can go look and see what happens here, where we can channel message send complex. What's M? Oh, we still need, the channel is... That's where we proxy the message, and then we turn around and we do a whole bunch of stuff to that in order to turn it into a Discord message. So this needs to be pulled out of that endpoint and shoved in here. So let's have a look. Send. So this is actually going to make the send endpoint a load simpler, which is always good. So there we go. We've got our message send, so we start doing it there. We want that. Okay, so we can go back to here and off we go. That's all good. And then that becomes d.session. Channel message send complex. That's cool. Now I could do the shorthand if, but I'm not going to here, because that's actually quite a long line, and we'll end up with longer lines and just making it look nice. So we can then respond. Otherwise, do we care about the response? What do we do with the response? I don't think we care about the response. For the moment, we don't care about the response. We might care about it later. We might dig into it and see if it's something. So the error will indicate that something went wrong programmatically sending the message to Discord, but the response probably contains some information about if it went wrong server side. So we may want to look into that later, but for now we will just... actually, let's have a look and see what's in that response. Is there anything like... No, there's nothing I care about in there. Bin it. So that's how to send message to Discord. So we've now got a Discord sender that is taking that. Do not handle. Where are you? You're here. Takes a sender. You're complaining about that being a sender. Okay, so we also need to implement a send string on that sender. Which is actually going to be quite easy. Send string is going to need a channel. And a message. To the given channel. Cool, so we can then just implement that. Queen. And onto this. So this now becomes func. Discord. Sender. Whoa. Loving the generic synthwave bassline that's going on in the background. So for this we can turn around and we can say that M is a outbound message. We're going to fill the selected fields and we want those two. So that becomes channel and that becomes message, and then we can just return, and in fact we don't even need to assign that. T.send that. Can we fit this all on one line? Yes, we can. Woo! So that's all going to continue working because we're just using send string rather than send. You are no doubt complaining because of the config. Nope, that now becomes an inbound message, so you're much happier. Not entirely happy. And then d.handle when the senders are not good because our mock sender does not have the correct things, so that wants to be send string. And actually our mock sender needs to be a lot more complex than it currently is. That's fine. We can just say that our mock sender just contains a message of outbound message, listener outbound message, and then we can do the same thing. So function mock sender send outbound message error. Oops, did I have an error in there? Yes, I do. I need to leave the error in there. So we can set that and send it back. So we just say that m.message is equal to the message, and then we return m.error. And then here we can do exactly the same thing we did with Discord. There we go. That's that done. Why are you whinging? You are whinging because our message is now no longer empty. That's going to be s dot. S dot message dot message. Don't like that. I know it's a mock, but payload. There are going to need to be some %Ds, so that's going to be in test Discord handle. Okay. No. No compiles. And I think we have now made it. Have we now made it so that we can server, isn't it? So again, this takes I don't even think it's going to take a set of actions. I think it's just going to take some settings and return return the sender. might have spotted a circular dependency here. We need to pull these out. These can't live here. That arrow needs to come out as well. Because otherwise we're going to end up with server depending on store and listener, and then listener depending on, config depending on store and listener, and listener depending on core on config, and that's not going to work. So what we can probably do is shove the stuff into store. Yeah, we can shove it here. It's going to return a JSON store. Let's just oops. Pressing the wrong keys all over the place. What have I done there? Better. Nope, we do need to pass in the settings. That's what I did wrong. It was finding store dot on there. Should have done a match case on my find and replace. Have we not added server to the settings? That would help if we did that. Nope. There we go. That for the time being can go. So the store can now handle going to end up store.store. Okay. So we should now be able to turn around here and say, if I look at the backing store there. Never comes first. Brain failing me there. Right. Then we need the sender. And that's going to be the listener dog. I'll call it client actually. So new go file, client. We want the settings. Do we want the settings? Probably do want the settings. And that's going to return a sender and an error. And just duplicate what we did install, basically. So we're not going to have this more complex thing. We are going to have a just going to have the client, which is the sender, and we're going to be check client config, and then we're going to be Discord. The client, client. The client is the Discord sender. Shove that in there. Going to pull that out fairly shortly because this is now configuring itself in the wrong place. But we will do that in a moment. If at the console, we will panic, otherwise we're going to have an invalid client config. Again, probably a good thing that my camera is not on because I am bopping away to this music. And a client config returns with a client config name it doesn't recognize. Yes, thank you. I want that one. Invalid client config. That's an invalid client config. And we don't care about you. So here we return the client, and We're also going to need some way of actually, no, we're not. Or are we? Yes, we are. Client is going to need to do more than just sender. So we're going to have the that return to the chat client will sort out the fact that it's not going to be a sender shortly. For the moment, with it being a sender, if we turn around here and say now we've got a small problem insofar as that can't happen down here anymore. That test handler may have to disappear at some point. Let's get rid of that. This can now go up in our client, and the Discord thing is going to be a little bit more complex. Failed to connect to the server. Oops. Return. Oops. So again, to sort of continue answering Liam's question from earlier, sender here, because sender is an interface, its zero value is nil. So at this point we are in fact sending back a nil, but we're also sending back an error, so we shouldn't be relying on that sending back something decent. And we'll note that in the error messages. Right, we need something else from our GoBot. I am aware that I'm hacking this around quite a lot, but it's actually getting more to how I thought it should work. So we're pulling a lot of crud out of the main part, and we're doing it elsewhere. So that becomes a new Discord with the actions we don't care about. So we're actually going to have to change that. Apart from the settings, what do we do in that? What do we do here? So we connect. Do we use the settings at all in the connection? No, we don't. I'm going to pull this out. All of this is going to get handled elsewhere. So our Discord type, what else do we have in there? We have the settings, we have the list of actions. We don't care about either of those, so this becomes redundant. That's redundant. What was the handler? It's just an interface. That looks like that. No, that's fine. That's fine. It is going to need the set of actions though in order to iterate through them, although we don't necessarily need to do that on the Discord. We are going to need a handler. That looks different than inbound message and sender. What do these look like? Different type of handler. That's an actions handler. We need a listener handler. Right. So our listener handler is going to look like this. For the moment. So we do in fact want our Discord type to have some stuff, but it just wants a handler, which we could just pass in. Goodbye. You now just become Discord. You take a token and you take a handler. And you return, what do you return? Really don't care about that session. In fact, I think I only put that in to deal with stuff that was going on before. Last week, so we can worry about that later. So we take our handler and we add that here. We don't care about that with a nil. We don't care about return of the con. Is there a con dot close? Yes, there is. We don't want to close it because we're not blocking. And you don't want to return anything there. You two can cuddle. I know that'll tickle Alex. The config stuff can go. This is all looking simpler. Right, the provided handle will get called on things to handle. Slight difference. Oh, poo. So we do actually need Discord to be a type because we need to pass that handler around. So here's the handler, which we're going to call, oops, the wrong way around. Okay, so that's there. Yeah, that'll change. so we do want to connect at that point. We can pass that handler in there. So we do pass in our handler. That needs to be public so we can actually pass it in. We can make it anonymous. Right, so again, we don't care about this session, so we'll just quickly go off and nix out this again. Off you go. Off you go. And off you go. Make those two happy and cuddly. So this handle is no longer going to be a thing, but this... where are we? Where's handle with the small her? Oh, handler, sorry, is going to be a thing, so that we do care about. And then we do handle it with the handler that we've passed in. And that needs a Discord Go session, so... maybe we did need to send back the... no. Yes, no. Yes, we did. Decisive code night. Right, so that handle's getting pulled out. That handler's staying the same. That's all good. Let's actually pull that out now so the compilation errors happen in the right place. Yoink. You're all nicer now and a lot smaller. We'll worry about you in a second. The client is going to be sending back a sender. Can it still be a sender? Yes, it can at the moment. So with our Discord, we need a handler, which is going to be this thing down here. Doesn't need to be associated with anything. We can just handle that. Handler is going to need the settings. Does this need to be an interface, or can it just be a struct with some settings in it? You need the actions. So you are now entirely separated from Discord. We need to pass in that handler into the Discord type. So that means the client is going to need the handler as well. That goes in there. Let me connect. All should be good. Need to do something with the console, but for the moment we don't need to worry about that. Our handler now looks good. So down here, that's for the stuff we were doing with trying to detect if we're already there. So it's initializing the actions. That's on Discord Go. We don't want to do that. We've done that. Double check we've done that. Yes, we did. That wants to be client. Client. We need to sort out our handler, so our handler is going to be that's not our handler, and it's going to have the settings and the actions. We can save passing the settings in twice because it's also in handler, but we can't really. And then our client isn't actually a whatchamacallit, okay, sender. The sender even. It becomes it doesn't even need to return anything. We can just start. We can just start. You've got a handler, Discord sender. The handler needs the sender. The handler needs the sender. So down here, just sieve. Did we have an error in here at some point? No. Failed to start that. Actions to avatar with the settings. That needs to be handled slightly differently. Again, I'm going to change this from being shorthand because it's quite long. Server excited. So we need to do something. May actually do that in the Discord part. So let's yoink that out. So I should put this into no, it's still an action. But it's going to be slightly different. So we're going to have the avatar, which is a string, and the session, which is a Discord Go session. So that can now get called dun, 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 dun. That now just becomes session, and if is equal session. Here we just want to log. Oops. No. Probably needs to be a warning. Fail to set. avatar, and in fact we want more than that, we want with fields. Over stop fields, and then we're going to have an error, which is the error with many R's, which is the and the avatar, which is the avatar. Oops. Nope, it's this thing. Cool, so that's now all handled internally and we have nothing Discordy at all, other than the message format, but that's been abstracted out. And we should have nothing Discordy at all in the Go bot. Let's sort that out. We're calling it log, are we? So we are. Okay. So if we don't have that sort of that, so this now puts all the Discord stuff in the Discordy bit. This is now getting a bit chunky. So we can put this in here. So we've got the connection. Did we do the connect in there? Yes, we did. That's the Discord sender. We're just going to have a Discord client. Just going to return an error. It's going to do all of that. It's going to take a settings, config settings. And a handler, just like the client. Actually, I might want to go to the top of the file. You can return nil. You can put you at the top of the file just because I think it. No, they're all dealing with types. Bottom of the file. Okay, so in the client here. Equals Discord client handler settings. You can see why I managed to get my host name wrong with the typing that's going on here. So that's all nice and small. We're good. You're all happy. That needs to go for now. We'll worry about that later. It wasn't working anyway, so I'm going to kill it as well. Goodbye. Just delete it. Does it compile? This is the $64,000 question. What time are we? We've got 4 minutes left. Does it compile? Actually, we can rename those. Config AWS. We can just strip off, and that becomes region. That becomes bucket. I could just down and access key and rename secret key. So you're all good. Okay, you are now that's Discord. So you now compile, and where will we store AWS? Nope, I want store AWS S3. That and that. That, that, and that. Status. Other actions. Discord test. The fact that it's now barfing on tests is good. Yeah, they're all going to have to change quite drastically. So, that's going to happen for now. Cool. I think it builds. Yes, it does. The linter's got a winch because I know I haven't done all the linting stuff. Some bunch of stuff in there. Okay, so what have we achieved today? We have sorted out the config and we've basically restructured everything so that we will be able to very shortly set it up so that it fires up with either an in-memory store, an AWS S3 store, a Discord client, or a yet to be written console client. So it compiles. I'm pretty sure most of it will run. There's a few little bits we're going to have to tie up next week, but I am out of time. So I'm going to park it there, literally park it there. We'll pick it up exactly where we left off next week, when Wednesday yet again creeps up on me and says it's time to do the stream. All that remains is to say do the internet thing, smash the buttons, or gently press them, whatever it takes your fancies. Join the Discord, look at the Patreon, follow the Twitters, all of that lovely stuff. Thanks to Alex for wants to be. Alex wants to know, have you been watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Because I could swear you've done the dun 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 lights go down sound. No, but I have seen it before. Maybe I'm channeling my inner my inner Chris Tarrant. Anyway, yes, thanks to Alex for doing all the stuff in the background. He is now attempting to get the bot to put the various details on there. It doesn't seem to be doing much. There we are, the Patreon's up there. Twitter is at Norfolk Dev, I think. And I will see you, there we are. Website's coming up as well. I will see you next week, hopefully. Have a good one. And let's go find my OBS.